My passion for political sciences, it stems from me liking to understand a bit more about how our government functions and the different elements which um, have an impact on the types of policies which are passed on to us as citizens, and the way that we as citizens can actually participate as citizens in a democratic country into having those policies being for us instead of them being against us. Because in as much as we can say that we are in a democratic country, but there are those complexities which tend to sort of um, make our democracy a bit questionable, because it's more of a situation whereby you find that it's only the views of those who are at the top which matter as compared to those who are on the ground, whereas you find that whatever decisions are being made at the top level have a bad, if I can say, a bad impact on those at the ground, because they actually have less or no voice at all. So that's why I wanted to get to understand the complexities of uh, the the term politics in its essence, like what actually goes on, and how can we as citizens be able to sort of also have a voice in a way in what is being implemented onto us by the higher powers. Okay. I've always wanted to have an autobiography about my life ever since I entered varsity, yes, which is like about 8 years ago. So, but I was a bit reluctant into writing because I did not have the kind of knowledge and um, sort of support in a way as to how I should go about into writing um, my book. So I am a physically disabled female. I'm 27 years of age. So the reason why I decided to write this book was because there were a lot of challenges which I faced from the day I was born. I don't know whether I should give a glimpse of how everything started, or okay, but just so that the reader and the viewer can understand. Like, I was a child who was born in the city of Pietermaritzburg, although my home is in Escort, but the assistance or the medical assistance that I received was from the Northdale Hospital. So my problem was that when I was born, my mom had prolonged labor pains, which resulted in me having or being affected on my left side of the body, but the effects did not result into the, how can I put this? Did not result into the limitation of the left hand side, but it was my left hand side which got um, disturbed, which is by both my arm and leg. So as a result, I could not put my foot flat down, which meant that my tendons at the back, they were a bit short. So I had to go to Northdale Hospital to get my tendons elongated by Dr. Schofield, of which I'm not sure whether he's still alive. And so ever since then, I've been someone who faced a lot of challenges because I was not accepted in many of the so-called normal schools, because the teachers and principals of those schools always thought that I was not going to be able to cope because, well, the way that normal children play, I wouldn't be able to conform to their ways of doing things, and hence they believed that I should go to the so-called special schools. And well, for me, I did not really want to go to a special school because I did not consider myself special in that special in such a manner where I should be treated like someone who is fragile, someone who's going to break at any point. So because I recall, I think it was in 2001 when I was doing my early stages of primary school. There was a neighbor of mine who worked at KwaZamokuhle Special School, which is also in Escort in Epangweni, if I'm not mistaken. So she always came to my mom and tried to convince her to take me to that particular school, to the extent that whenever I saw her, I ended up running away because I knew that she was going to tell me that she was going to take me to that particular school. So I was just like, no ways, I'm not leaving my family. It's fine the way that I am. So going a bit back, I was registered at some primary school in Fordeville area, which was run by Mrs. JJ. She was the one who sort of made me realize that I am like other people in the sense that I did everything that my classmates did. And she taught me a lot of things, like she taught me how to properly feed myself and like just to like sort of accept myself for who I am. So I then graduated from that. It's just that I forgot the name of the preschool, but I then graduated in late or at the end of the year 2000, and then I went to study at Fordeville Primary School, whereby I received a lot of welcoming, warm hands. Like the principal didn't treat me in a special way. Like I was just like any other kid. So I moved on from my primary school years. I went to Drakensberg Secondary School, known as DSS, in the area of Escort. I studied there for my last 5 years of basic education up until I reached grade 12. And during my grade 12 years, there were a lot of difficulties as well because of the writing of the exams at different times, and I did not have a fixed transport which was going to fetch me in the morning from home, since I stay in Mbezi, as well as for the transport to come and fetch me after I write my exams, because you find that if you're writing at 2, you come out at around 5 o'clock, around those times, and I had to find someone. Like it was a constant burden to me, whereby I had to actually find classmates who are going to accompany me to the taxi rank, and then from there I'd then be able to catch a taxi and then go back home. So I then, by God's grace, I then finished my grade 12 in 2012. Yes, 2012. And then in 2013, I enrolled for a Bachelor of Social Sciences at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, where I'm currently based now in the city of Pietermaritzburg. So as well as when I came to varsity, things did not become easier, but they became a bit steep for me, because now I had to do everything on my own. And somehow my disability, I don't know whether I should say it was regressing, because you would find that, or there was an incident whereby I was trying to cross the road to go from one class to the other, and I had a bit of an accident on the road, but not that the car knocked me, but I was almost knocked over by a bus. And through those things and many other challenges, there was never a time whereby I thought to myself that it was about time that I packed my bags and went back home. So by writing this book, it's a matter of trying to encourage and motivate another disabled person, as well as a non-disabled person, that no matter how hard life can be, no matter the challenges that you would face, but it's always good if you can overcome and have a positive mindset, in that it's not over until God says it's over. Because for me, with my family being away from me and I have to fend for myself in a foreign environment, if it was another person, I'm pretty much sure that they would have decided to quit school and just go back home because life was difficult. Although I did have friends, but you know, there are times whereby you are always sort of reminded that you are not like other people because there are certain limitations which are always on, like, in front of you, like different hurdles that you have to cross over and all of those things. So with this book, I like it's just a broad explanation of who I am, where I've been, what I've been able to achieve, and the different challenges that I had encountered both personally and as well as on the tertiary environment, because as from 2013 up until now, I've been away from home through my studies. As of today, I'm doing my third year as a PhD candidate. Oh, well, indeed, it is. This life comes with a lot of challenges, more especially if you are a disabled person, because there are a lot of things that comes with the phenomenon, because there are a lot of stereotypes. A lot of things are said that why are you stressing yourself? Like, you know, we are always the inferior as as people compared to the so-called normal people. So throughout these challenges, what made me stay motivated was the support of my family. At home, my mom always, even till today, she still like utters the words that I should be, or they're the first people who should show me love and care in order for others to be able to show me the same kind of mentality towards me. So my family has been my support structure. They have always been there, like especially my mom. My mom has always been there from day one. There was never a time whereby she's never there, because most of, I don't know whether I should say African people, but most of the time, if a parent is being blessed with a disabled child, because I don't want to say special, but a disabled child, they're always seen as people who have committed some sort of a sin against God, or they're being cursed, or they're being punished, and then they end up having to take a decision whereby they hide their children or even abandon them. But in my family, that has never happened. Like, my mom has always been there for me. She loves me to bits. Like, I know that she loves me. So, like, everything that I do, it's through her motivation and her encouraging words that I shouldn't back down, no matter how hard it is. Because even if I face challenges, she's the first person that I pick up my phone and call and tell her, Mom, I'm facing this particular challenge. How do I go about it? If she has to come from home to PMB to assist me, she doesn't mind, like, at any time of the day, any time of the night. So it's just the support from my family that has really, really kept me high, like in high spirits, and always motivated, because all that I do like to show them how grateful I am, in terms of not sort of disappointing them, like, and becoming someone who is not well supported. So their support always keeps me going. It fuels up my motive in terms of doing whatever that I'm doing, both personally, be it I'm getting a job or I'm continuing with my studies. But it's just the support from my family, really, that keeps me going. that it may sound a bit subjective, but I would really encourage someone to be as strong as they can be. I know in life that there are like we face different situations, and for me it might be easier to say be strong, persevere, don't give up. Whereas for someone else, that is a different story, because for me, it might be easy because I know that I've got my family as a support structure, but for them, they might not have that. But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, it's all about you. You should never forget who you are. Firstly, we should learn to accept who we are and embrace the way that we are. Like even the so-called normal people, there's no one who is similar to the next. Their only advantage in life is that, well, they think they can do everything to its perfection as compared to us who have visible challenges or limitations. Whereas for them, it's kind of normal for one not to be able to jump, but if you are a disabled person, that becomes sort of like a big issue, you know. But as a person, you should always embrace who you are, love yourself, no matter what comes your way. Like you should utilize all the available opportunities as a disabled person, because like what breaks my heart some of the time, I mean, most of the time, is seeing someone who is in a position like me, who is disabled in the same way as me, or who has a more severe disability, not being able to have access to education. For me, I can use myself as an example that I had never thought that I'd be in tertiary because of my financial status back home. But as a disabled person, I was then exposed to different options, such as NSFAS having a disability bursary. So in that way, I was then motivated to grab that opportunity and run with it. So I would really, really, really advise another disabled person to embrace their challenges. If you have to cry at night, cry, let it out. But when you wake up the next morning, take the baton and run with it. Because sitting back and having self-pity and feeling sorry for yourself is another thing that sort of creates these stereotypes that the other members of society have about us. So embracing yourself and accepting yourself for who you are and loving yourself is one thing that I'd really encourage another person to have as an essence of their being.